The greatest threat to your life isn't evil, it's stupidity, and it might already be eating you alive without you even noticing. On November 18th, 1978, deep in the jungle of Guyana, over 900 people, men, women, and even little kids dropped dead in a single day, poisoned by cyanide-laced drinks. But here's the real horror. It wasn't a dictator forcing them at gunpoint. It was something way scarier. They drank it willingly. This was Jonestown, the deadliest cult massacre in modern history. One man, Jim Jones, didn't use violence, didn't use armies, didn't use tanks. He just used words and convinced 900 smart, capable humans to kill themselves voluntarily. Now, you got to ask yourself, how the hell does that even happen? How do people who seem rational, normal, even educated, end up marching proudly into their own destruction? We love to think intelligence protects us from stupidity, that smart people can smell bullshit from a mile away, that awareness, education, and being logical is enough to save you. But history, over and over again, slaps us across the face with a different truth. It's not evil that causes humanity's biggest disasters. It's stupidity. Stupidity is more dangerous than evil. And that's not my theory. It's a terrifying realization made by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian and resistance fighter who stared straight into the hell of Nazi Germany. Most people blame the horrors of the 20th century on evil men doing evil things. Bonhoeffer looked deeper. He saw something more sinister. He saw that stupidity, not evil, was the real enemy of good. But why? Why would stupidity be deadlier than pure, cold-blooded evil? Because here's the punch in the gut. You can fight evil. You can debate it, expose it, even defeat it. Evil has an agenda. It knows what it's doing. Evil, at some level, understands consequences, meaning it's beatable. But stupidity? Stupidity is a different beast altogether. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't think. It doesn't reason. It doesn't even know it's stupid. And worst of all, it doesn't want to know. Someone acting out of stupidity can cause 1,000 times more damage than someone acting out of malice, because while evil has limits, stupidity is limitless, self-sustaining, and society doesn't resist it, it feeds it. Now, a huge mistake people make is mixing up ignorance with stupidity. But Bonhoeffer makes it clear. They're not the same thing. Ignorance just means you don't know something. No big deal. You can teach an ignorant person, expose them to the truth, and boom, they change. But stupidity is active resistance to learning. It's not lack of information, it's refusal of information. You could slap them with facts, throw data in their face, show them undeniable evidence, and they still fold their arms and say, nah, I don't believe it. Logic, reason, reality itself, blocked, deleted, thrown in the trash. That's why stupidity is so deadly. It feeds itself. It builds walls around itself. It multiplies. It hangs out with other stupid ideas. It builds an echo chamber and calls anyone who disagrees a liar or propaganda machine. And the deeper they fall into stupidity, the harder it becomes to pull them out. It's like quicksand, but for your brain. This isn't just an individual problem either. It's a social disease. It spreads like a virus. Smart, rational individuals, once they group up and outsource their thinking to the crowd, become idiots at lightning speed. That's why propaganda works. That's why mobs happen. That's why history keeps punching us in the face with the same mistakes over and over again. Because once people join a group, most stop thinking for themselves. They hand their brains over to groupthink, and the moment you stop questioning, you stop being a person. You become just another empty vessel carrying stupidity forward. History's worst atrocities didn't happen because a few evil masterminds twirled their mustaches and made plans. They happened because thousands of regular people who could have known better, chose not to think, chose not to question, chose to obey. Here's the really messed up part. You can't fix stupid. You can't debate it. You can't argue it. You can't reason with someone who slammed the door on reality and threw away the key. They don't need more information. They've already decided they don't want it. That's why in Bonhoeffer's eyes, stupidity is a bigger threat to society than war, crime, or even organized evil. Because stupidity doesn't need a plan. It doesn't need a motive. It just is, and it's enough to tear civilizations apart. You think stupidity is just a personal flaw? No. Bonhoeffer saw it for what it really is, a collective force, a viral infection that can take down entire nations. One idiot makes bad decisions. But a whole society of idiots, hyped up by peer pressure and groupthink, that's when obedience turns into blind loyalty, when propaganda becomes religion, when mistakes become mass graves. The scariest part? Once stupidity spreads, it feeds itself in a loop. One fool props up another fool's nonsense until questioning anything becomes impossible. Blind obedience is born, and through blind obedience, history's greatest horrors unfold. Dictators and tyrants have always understood one thing. They don't need a country full of evil geniuses. They just need a country full of obedient idiots. And if you look into what's happening today, you'll see it doesn't take millions of monsters to create horror. It only takes millions of people willing to close their eyes, follow orders, and pretend they don't see. You know what I mean.